another big piece of news that has dropped is at GDC 2025, the formation of a brand new industry-wide union for game workers has been revealed. The UVWCWA.
This is great.
United Video Game Workers Union, formed with the Tenured Communication Workers of America. So the idea here is this is a Canadian and U.S. covering union. And typically, I guess the difference between this and a lot of the other game union news we've been hearing about is most of the time a number of employees at a particular company would, create one and then invariably get shut down or punished or whatever the case is because it only covers the employees at that particular place.
So I'm going to use an example. This is not a company that this has happened at, but it's just if you try to start a union at Capcom USA, well, Capcom USA can go, oh, fuck, and shut those offices down fast enough to kibosh the union. Again, I'm not talking about Capcom USA specifically. That's just an example. But this allows people to just join a general, I work in video games union.
And so by being larger and by being not specific to a company, it's much more difficult for a particular company to punish any employees for joining it.
Because how are you going to know they joined the union until they come to you with collective bargaining, which will be in a couple of years once tons of people have joined this union?
So that's the idea, is if there's enough numbers behind it, then it, you might, what might certainly happen and what will happen is when there's a number of people in a given company that are members and then those who aren't, and then the treatment might be different between those as things ramp up. But certainly if this covers enough ground and enough people join in time, then there's nothing that when the company is not above the organization at this point, but they're directly bargaining with an outside force, then yes, they get better bargaining power. So very cool.
Even at its most base level, not even describing collective bargaining, right? Just, hey, there is a large video games based union that a certain multitude of people are paying their dues, which means, hey, as part of the union, I think, example, not the company, this is a hypothetical, I think EA fired me or fired my team or laid us off illegally, and I think I'm owed severance. Well, now I can go get my union lawyer, or I can go to my meeting with HR and the boss and go, unlike most situations in which I would have to do this out of pocket, I have a union lawyer who will come and fight you and fuck your day up for as long as this takes.
That's it.
So just pay me my fucking severance.
And you're also talking about people that are not necessarily, again, it's not the people working under the company at the company that are beholden to them, but that lawyer or any of those people that are potentially doing this full time from outside. Again, they can get more done. I think a big cool detail too as well is the fact that it's partnered with the Communication Workers of America means that
existing large-scale union,
an existing backbone for this, exactly,
which means it already had those guys already have union lawyers, they already have bookkeepers, they have guys who know how to manage a meeting.
They've been doing it since 1947, so the framework for everything to have a number of employees in a union outside of the company that they're working at is right there, so they get to just one-to-one take that template, apply it to video game employees. So
great, just good news all the way around.
And it covers Canada and America in one fell swoop as well.
Even the existence of the union at all is a force for positive good, because it may create in at least one situation, man, I really want to fuck this team over, but I don't want to be the first company to fight this new union.
Sure.
I don't want to be the very first testing ground for battling the new video game union. So you know what? I'm just gonna
Now,
chill a little.
make no mistake, like, they're going to fight against it and find ways to do so, right? But the difference is it's going to be a lot harder when you can't just shut down an entire studio branch or team by, you know, simply going, hey, whatever, we can find a reason, and just go, yeah, we're shutting that down, we're canceling that game, we're getting rid of this project, whatever the case is, and then, you know, nip it in the bud. This is much more difficult for them to do that with, but they'll find a way. They'll find a way, but yeah.
And also, if we're talking about unions and we're talking about an industry, like oftentimes on an economic scale, you end up in this kind of situation where, okay, well, the guys are making unions here. Can we outsource that? It's like if it's a manufacturing thing, like, yeah, you might be able to outsource it to a country that doesn't have good unions or doesn't have a good civil liberties protection. But we're talking about video games here. We're talking about essentially what is an artistic medium. It's not, you're not making crackers. You're not making car parts or, you know, large scale mass produced goods. You need the certain people that you have hired to do it. So what you can do is go, we're starting a new studio that just happens to be placed in country that doesn't allow unions. But then you have to convince your whole team to fucking move out there, which is hard.
Yeah. No, I think, you know, a part of this too as well is like North America. I know people that work from, you know, from Montreal here with companies in the States. I know people that move down to the States to work and go back and forth as well. The fact that this covers both is pretty dope.
It's great.
Because, yeah, you know, like when it comes to stuff like SAG and ACTRA, which is the Canadian equivalent there, you got to go figure out specifically what your country does, and there's differences between the two and such. But this you know, doesn't get in the way of anybody that is like actively working across border for better job opportunities. So good stuff.
I mean, we're going to talk about Ubisoft in a little bit, but like Ubisoft should be like uniquely threatened by this type of unionization, because like, you know, get like 500 Ubi employees in a room and ask them, hey, how many of you have had crimes committed against you by your boss? And have them raise their hands, and have other people in the room see how many people are raising their hands.
Yeah.
It's probably.
Perhaps more than a few.
It's more than 2. I can say that with confidence.
Yeah.